This sketchbook has the quirkiest shape. The moment I saw it online, I knew I had to get it. In this video, I'm going to fill it with playful drawings, experimenting with different mediums and techniques, and let my ideas run wild. And most importantly, I'm just having fun with it. Since it's made with thick watercolor paper, I thought I'd kick things off with some watercolor. I'm painting a night sky here, and this moon glow color is just perfect. It got this awesome granulation with a mix of purple, navy, gray that I really love. I wanted to keep the vibe playful and fun, and what's more playful than a fart? Yep, a big fart that could rocket you all the way to the moon. Honestly, that's exactly how a sketchbook like this should be started, right? So, it may look to you that I have an idea of how this is gonna go, what I wanna paint, but if I'm being real with you, I actually sat there for at least an hour, staring at the blank page or doing some Googling. I totally regret that. I've always been a bit scared to start a new sketchbook, and this one is especially tricky because of this weird shape. It's not your usual sketchbook. It's pretty rare, right? So I wanted to come up with something extra special and creative to fit it. And honestly, it looks really nice. It's super well made with these thick sheets. There are about 30 of them. It's like a little brick. I mean, it could probably hurt someone if I hit them with this. Although it's very sturdy and the pages are thick, it can stay flat and it doesn't fall apart, doesn't matter how hard I press it. It's such a great feature for us artists, because we really appreciate a sketchbook that can lay flat and for us to draw on it comfortably. I was honestly really impressed with the quality. But all that made me put extra pressure on myself to come up with something good, something worth it for it. The fart idea popped into my mind, but I wondered, is this good enough? Is this too stupid? Should I make it more serious, like maybe tie all 30, or if you count both sides of the pages, 60 drawings together with a theme, or create a little story? Because if I do one page at a time, it might look just random and silly. So yeah, it was such a struggle for me to really get started. But luckily lately, I've been thinking about creativity and how to make my art feel more like me and to create more. And the conclusion is just stop planning too much or thinking too much and just draw and go with the gut. So I caught myself in the act and just decided to go for it. This silly fart idea, well, at least it's mine. It's authentic and truly reflects my, childish side. So by drawing what I really wanted, this silly fart idea, I'm breaking the ice on this perfectly white page and setting the tone for this whole sketchbook. It's gonna be a playground, a peek inside my head, a place to experiment, to explore, and just have fun. And if I mess it up, that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. This whole creative process is supposed to be messy. I'm just not being messy enough. I plan too much. So it'll be authentic. It'll be part of my journey. And well, I can always get a new sketchbook to start over. Okay, back to the drawing. The size of the page is just so perfect to show off the power of this big fart. It allowed me to put in this distance for me to show how high this bunny can reach. I wanted to look like a rocket launch, so I looked up some real photos of smoke for reference, but I'm not into making things super realistic. I like my stuff to look whimsical and cute and kind of simple. So these fart clouds are like fluffy and soft clouds, and even the smaller propelling farts are the same. To make a bunny stand out more, I used a tiny brush to paint crisp outlines, and I sharpened the edges on the fart clouds as well for them to pop a little bit more. Okay, so the peeling off the tape is supposed to be the most enjoyable moments when you finish the artwork, but I totally messed it up. You're supposed to peel it away from the painting, but I pulled straight down and yeah, some of the paint came off with it. Oops. But no worries, I just added some more color, and yay, the first page is done. For the next one, I wanted to keep exploring everyday stuff, like take something familiar, like a fart, and see if I can make it interesting. And this time, I thought about a plant we saw on our morning walk. We always pass by this little strip of wild weeds, and recently I started to notice how fast they grow. They started as tiny sprouts just off of the ground in early spring, and now it's middle of the summer. Some are as tall as me. The one I'm drawing here is pretty special. It's one of a kind in that area, and it's already about 2 meters tall. It's so wild. And the shape is just so unique, and you won't miss it if you pass by. And when I look it up, it's called a common mullein. Apparently, it has some medicinal uses like helping with respiratory relief and making ear oil. And some people grow them in their garden. And you can even make tea from its leaves and flowers. And usually they don't grow taller than 2 meters. So yeah, I was actually spotting something rare here and learning something new. I realized that I like plants, but I don't usually draw them. And for the longest time, I don't really know why. I just avoid drawing them and then focus on drawing characters and humans. But lately, I've been drawing more random and playful things. And I figured out it's not because I don't like plants. I like them. I like looking at plants and flowers and forests. It's just like I don't like drawing plants on their own in a realistic form. I need some other life form to interact with them. So for this one, I drew a tiny octopus balancing on the top. I love how it helps to tell a story. And this little guy balancing on this 2-meter plant is pretty impressive, probably thanks to all those little legs. And it also shows how sturdy this plant is. Well, I didn't touch the plant since I don't know which part might be toxic. I didn't know what it is at the time, but it definitely looks stiff. The mullein's flower is actually about half of its height, and the rest of it at the base is just a bunch of large leaves. I ran out of space here, but I think it would be fun to add a big walking octopus. Maybe it's stealing the flower and it's trying to carry it home. So yeah, one thing I learned is that when I think I don't want to draw something, it might not be because that I don't like the subject itself. It's probably how I draw it and what kind of style and what I'm drawing it with. Like, I don't usually like to draw cars or buildings, like those things with hard geometric shape, but maybe that's something I will try in the future. For the colors, I used watercolor for the yellow flowers and the octopus, and then I switched to alcohol marker for the leaves, just experimenting in this small drawing for mixing different mediums, and I think it turned out pretty nice. This paper is thick and has a bit of texture, plus it's absorbent enough to handle both mediums without any issue. On the next page, I kept going with the theme of long things. This time it's the bunny again, but with super long ears, way longer than usual. I just wanted to make the most of the tall shape of the page, and I thought it would be funny to put a cupcake right at the tip of her ear. She wants to eat it so badly, but has no idea how to get it down. Maybe she'll let it drop and try to catch it with her hands if she's quick enough, so good luck with that. I used watercolor again to give her a soft, nice pink color, and then I switched to markers for the cupcake since it's such a small area and it's very easy to fill in with the marker for a tiny spot. And just like that, this super simple page is done. It's tricky to tell a story with such little space, but I still wanted to try. So this time I used both pages for a spread. And this turned out to be the coziest page. Once again, on our morning walks, we sometimes see this chipmunk. We pass by a short wall made with, those large piled up rocks, and he lives in those cracks. Sometimes he just sits there as we walk by, and we can get pretty close until he gets startled and dashes off. I thought about bringing nuts to feed him, but I always forget, so I haven't done it yet. But I don't think he'd take it anyway because he is pretty skittish. But in my mind, if he did, I imagine him jamming his mouth full. These little creatures have such long fingers, like little hands. It's pretty cute. Then I thought about those little red berries, the wild berries we often see around here. I have no idea what they are. I'm tempted to try one to see what they taste like, but I know I shouldn't. I don't know if chipmunks even like them, but let's just say he does. So I'm drawing him reaching out to grab some berries. Chipmunks are so adorable. I love how they like to stuff so much food in their mouth and to stretch out their face and are always on the hunt. That's my impression of them. Then I thought of our last trip to Japan. I was doing research and I saw this chipmunk park. They advertised that they have about like 10 chipmunks that you can watch and interact with. I was like, we have one living right in our neighborhood. So naturally we skipped it. But now I wonder if they actually let you feed them there, like get really close, like in those cute videos where the chipmunks can cram their cheeks full of food, and that would be so worth the trip. For colors, I used alcohol markers for small spots like the peanuts, berries, and the blush. And I switched to watercolor for the fur because I want to show the fur's pattern. And watercolor is so perfect for creating those soft textures. I did a little bit of wet on wet to blend the colors smoothly, plus some dry brush strokes for the fur details. I really like watercolor. I haven't used it for a while. Now that I'm using it, it makes me really miss it. But now I want to explore more ways to use it in combination with maybe alcohol markers and other mediums and not just the way I used to. I'm really happy I started this sketchbook. It's small enough for me to try things quickly and learn as I go. After I put in all the colors, I felt some lines are kind of thin and they're like kind of weak comparing to the colored area. So I went over some major lines, major outlines to make them thicker. But maybe it's a little bit too thick now. I'm not sure if that was the right call, but that's the charm of the sketchbooks. It's a place to try new things, and if something doesn't work, I can learn from it and try something else next time. Once I pass that initial fear of starting the first page, it's kind of low stake. Oh, and I noticed that the alcohol marker on the peanuts bled through the previous page, leaving a mark on the bunny's ear, and it looks pretty dirty. So I tried to fix it with some white paint, then I wanted to paint pink over it. I didn't film this fix because I thought, well, it's just a fix, nobody cares. But as I was fixing it, the white paint got pushed around and looks kind of fluffy, like clouds. So I made those shapes a little bit bigger, added some shadows, and it actually works better than before. They actually look like clouds, and it's showing how long the bunny's ears are, stretching all the way into the sky. Well, I regret not filming this because it's such a great example of how not everything is perfect or planned, and sometimes mistakes can push you to think differently and turning problems into new ideas, like this cloud. You just have to start somewhere, something silly, something simple, and see where it takes you. I quickly hit the record and caught the last few strokes here. This next page was totally spontaneous. I first imagined a girl with super long legs lounging on the floor reading a magazine, with her legs bent up and dangling from the top of the page. Not sure if you can imagine that, but the idea was to use this page like a box with her limbs folded inside and break all the rules of anatomy and just make her super long and flexible. I was even going to add another figure hanging on the right-hand side page, also with long limbs crunched into the shape of the page. But after drawing her head and upper body, I changed my mind. I realized I always restrict myself to draw something physical that fits the page shape, but I can also draw things that don't have a physical form, like maybe a thought. So that's why I drew a thought bubble here. Well, although I didn't know what to put inside the thought bubble, but I liked the composition and how different it was. You know those cute Japanese stationery memo stickers? That's kind of the creative stuff I wanted to try. Things like the designs on there, things don't have to make literal sense or fits perfectly in a physical space. They can just be a collection of small, fun elements arranged in a pleasing way. I really love Japanese stationeries. It's such a perfect example of how little things can bring small joys to life. But the key is not to hoard them, but to actually use them. I know it's hard. I'm still learning that myself, just like with the sketchbook. If I don't use it, it's just wasted potential. But once I make my mark, it's mine. And even if I screw up, it's the experience of using it makes it more valuable. So yeah, on the right hand side, I stick to the hanging person idea, but then I gave up on doing the weird limb stuff and just let my pen do its thing. Somehow I began drawing this little guy holding onto his hair, which connects to the girls at the bottom through the hair. And the hair is super long, wrapping around the girl, so she's suspended mid-air. I think it might be because I need a haircut. I really need a haircut. My hair is super long now and down to the middle of my back. It's really hot and it takes forever to dry, and I'm always sweeping up the loose hair on the floor. I kind of drew that in my previous video about dust bunnies, so check it out if you haven't. After drawing this page of weird long hair, I thought maybe I could add hairstyles in the thought bubble, since the girl could be reading a hair magazine and thinking about what style to pick. Japan to this day still have lots of magazines printed, something rare here in North America, which is such a shame. I love grabbing magazines in Japan. They're full of info and interesting graphic design. Even though I don't read Japanese well, I never get bored looking through them. They have magazines just about hairstyles with step-by-step instructions and list of products, brands, and even prices. I'm not into doing my own hair, but I still enjoy reading about it. And here's something new I discovered on this page. I can actually use a fountain pen on top of acrylic paint. I never thought of trying that before. I used acrylic to cover part of the thought bubble area because the berries from the chipmunk page were showing through, because they were done with alcohol markers. And since I already drawn the hairstyles here with the fountain pen, I carefully painted around them but still covered some black lines. So once the acrylic dried, I used my fountain pen to redraw the lines on top, and it actually worked great. It was smoother and easier than using a tiny brush, and it gave me pretty good control for the details. This flat acrylic color combined with this thin black fountain pen lines is a pretty cool look. This turned out to be a really cool style with just one simple flat color. I really love this shade of blue and will definitely use it more in the future. This sketchbook really gets my mind going because each page is small, it's quick to fill it up, which makes trying new techniques and art supplies feel less scary. And this time I want to try drawing with a dip pen and walnut ink. The idea was to draw a box of chocolates. I realized that I don't always have to do tall, long drawings. I can always do wide ones too. This sketchbook is pretty thick and solid, and when I open it sideways, it feels like I'm opening a delicate chocolate box. I love chocolates, so drawing this gave me a good excuse of looking up delicious photos of truffles. So it was a no-brainer to draw this idea, and yep, I spent quite a while browsing photos because they look so beautiful and tempting. Of course, in my drawing, chocolate cannot be the only thing. I had to add some life. So I drew my favorite bunnies again. One is hiding under the lid, so when you open it up, he is holding on tight so he doesn't fall. And the other one is caught red-handed trying to steal a chocolate. This dip pen I'm using is perfect for line art. I got it from a Japanese stationery store called Kakimori. The nib is made with brass and is pretty unique shaped. You can also use it sideways for broader strokes to cover a larger area. And the tip has just the right amount of friction. It doesn't feel as slippery as like a glass pen, but I haven't used too many glass pens, so I'm not too sure. I just don't quite like them because the design is always super decorative with swirls and glitters, but I personally prefer more understated and functional pens and tools. So this brass nib with this Sakura wooden handle is exactly what I'm looking for. I just feel I don't use this pen enough, and I'm excited to try colored inks with it, and definitely will try to use more of this pen. And I chose to use walnut ink here because of the beautiful and soft brown tone. I noticed that not many people use walnut ink. I learned about it in the Jean Haynes online class, so I got a bottle and instantly loved it. It has a warm but not too warm brown. The shade looks very classic and timeless, and once it's dry, it looks matte. It was traditionally made from walnut husks, which could fade away or get moldy because it's acidic, but the Daniel Smith version is archival and non-acidic. I'm not sure how it's made, but that's what they claims it to be. It flows really beautifully from the dip pen and behaves like watercolor. You can use it with a brush, you can paint it on, you can layer, lift, and do whatever you need to do like a watercolor. The only catch is that it lifts pretty easily, so painting over the lines like what I'm doing here can wash them away. For the chocolate pieces, I switched to alcohol markers. Because I used them on the first few pages, I noticed that how they behave is a really good fit for the chocolate drawing. Because the paper is absorbent, so the ink soaks in and stays wet a bit, and it allows the strokes to blend softly with a fuzzy, velvety texture. It's not quite like watercolor, but more cloud-like. I thought this was perfect for it, showing the textures for the truffles. I also busted out my metallic watercolors and added some decorations on the truffles. They're definitely underused, mostly because I'm not familiar with them, and when I do a larger piece, I worry about messing up where I place them, whether it's gonna look right. I think a lot of artists love buying new supplies and new mediums, but might not use them often. I was really stuck in my watercolor comfort zone for a long time, and I just didn't want to waste time experimenting in sketchbooks. And I wanted to make every piece count, because every piece has to generate a video, every piece has to be good enough to make a print, right? So now I'm really glad I started this little watercolor sketchbook. It really allowed me to try all sorts of different mediums I haven't used very often. I hope if I keep this up, I'll learn more about these mediums and I'll know how to use them when I do a bigger piece. Alright, let's open this box of chocolates. The chocolate box looks nice, but I forgot that alcohol markers bleed through the pages. So there were a lot of marks on the next side again. I wanted to fill every page of the sketchbook, so I decided to use acrylic paint to cover it up. And this time I was inspired by my dress-up darling. And this anime is one of my favorite in the recent few seasons. It got a good mix of romance, comedy, and heartfelt moments. The main characters are very relatable. Actually, I connect more with a guy because I'm also an introvert who just want to do my art at home and be alone. And Marin, the girl, is always dazzling and she has a great personality. And in the current season, which is season 2, the opening and ending songs are amazing. I can't help but to watch them every episode. So yeah, this inspired me to draw a pretty girl and some makeup stuff. Our main guy not only makes costumes, but also gets really good at doing makeup. I am terrible doing my own makeup, so I wish someone like this mini bunny could do it for me. Funny thing is, when my husband saw this drawing, he didn't get that the bunny was putting on mascara, so he asked me, why is she scraping her eyelashes? That looks painful. I was like, that's mascara. Maybe I should have drawn a mascara wand instead of this rake-looking thing. And I added a chain platform to make the bunny look like she's part of a cleaning crew. It's pretty funny to me. Remember I said earlier in the video I learned the tip and later it became useful, and this is where I put it into good use. So after I painted the hair and the skin with opaque acrylic, my lines were covered. So I debated how do I draw them. Then I remember I learned that fountain pen works great on acrylic. So I used it to redo the line art. It was so smooth and fast, way better than using a tiny brush. And it gave me the good control for all the details like the eyelashes and the tiny bunny. It has that sharp and vibrant anime look. It's very different from watercolor or marker. For the next page, the little bunny became a nail artist. I'm always amazed at how intricate nail art is, and even more impressed by how people can type and do everything with long nails. On my end, I can't even handle a 2mm growth, and my hands are kind of manly and dry, so I could never imagine myself doing nail art. But I still love appreciating it. Nail art can turn a tiny little fingernail into a whole universe, which is what I wanted to capture here. To try something different, I used a glitter Posca pen for the nails. The ink flow is pretty high, so it was easy for me to make a smooth gradient transition with a lighter blue, which looks like a little universe. I don't know why I put an eyebrow on the bunny. It looks so weird. It almost looks like the face is upside down. I tried to cover it with acrylic, but the ink wasn't dry yet, so I made a big mess on his face. Poor little bunny. I kind of fixed it though in the end, but you can still tell when you look close up. So being inspired by the nail art, I remember I had small glitter bottles from a UV resin kit. So I added tiny stars and dots. It looks super cute. It's simple but something I hadn't done before. I like buying small, like decorative stuff like cute dried flowers, ribbons, tiny food models. When I bought them, I was so excited, thinking I use them in paintings and maybe I'm gonna glue it on when I do acrylic painting, or this ribbon can be part of the clothes I draw. But they're still sitting in the drawers. I haven't used them yet. I think I just need to give myself time to play with them, like what I do here in a sketchbook. And I have to tell myself it's okay to use them just in a sketchbook. Not every piece has to be a masterpiece, and not every use has to be worth it. It's not wasted if I just put it in a sketchbook and nobody ever sees it. At least it's better than letting them sit unused. Well, convincing myself is hard, but I'm sure I'm not alone. Everyone must have special supplies saved for the right moment, the right painting, and if that's you too, I encourage you to take them out and just use them. You don't have to use them well, just use them. The learning and the fun you get will be worth way more than what you paid. Another reason I love using different art supplies is that it keeps me excited and engaged, which is great for distressing after work. With so many meetings and tasks during the day, I often feel exhausted but still stuck in the work mode. It's hard to get my mind off of work. It's really hard to flip the switch to go into the art mode. So I find it really helpful after I started this new sketchbook a few days ago and trying different things in there, because if I leave something unfinished last night, I look forward to pick it up again tonight. Especially if I'm trying a new medium like the glitter or this dip pen with the walnut ink, I get really excited to see how it turns out. But when life gets busy, with lots of chores, bills, taxes, you name it, it's so easy to push art to the very end. It feels like I have to get all the important stuff, quote unquote, done before I deserve to relax and have my own time to create. This feeling inspired me to draw this tiny sketch. I'm like this bunny, anxious and stressed with all my ears tangled up. Well, that represents my thoughts. And I'm looking at this deep hole thinking I have to climb through all these before I can get to my art supplies. It feels like it's gonna take forever. And usually I push through the chores for an hour or two after work, but by the time I'm done, it's time to go to bed. And sometimes it's actually smarter to start with your art first, get your head in the right place and shake off the stress, then tackle the chores with a clearer mind. So I'm drawing the other two smarter bunnies. They dug a side hole and jumped right in, going straight to the brushes. I wish I could be more like that. So hopefully this is a reminder to ourselves to take care of our creative needs before we can deal with life's demands. In the past, I avoided using outlines because I was eager to develop my own style and I wanted everything to be loose and painterly. But that really limited what I could draw, especially small details. So recently I realized this and I started doing more line drawings. And next I wanted to combine both. I want to see if I can find a way to use lines where they add values and keep the rest loose. So I have a lot to explore, but I'm glad I opened up my mind. I think style isn't something you intentionally develop. It's a collection of little preferences and habits you build up over time. And once I realized that, I stopped stressing about finding my style and really focused on listening to my heart and discovering what I like. Alright, we can save that topic for another video because this one would be really long. I have so much to say about what not to do when trying to find your style because I did a lot of stuff that didn't work. Another thing that really frustrates me is that when I hit a creative block, I get super bummed and I lose confidence all of a sudden. I have no clue what to do next. I feel like this neurotic, crazy person sometimes. And if I don't draw for a few days, I start wondering, am I really an artist? Do I really have the skills? Then I flip through my old drawings looking for proof, but my mind goes, did I really make these? They look kind of nice. How is that possible? I'll never be able to come up with ideas like these again or draw that well. I just hate that self-talk. It's classic imposter syndrome. Well, luckily my husband always supports and cheers me up. I've always found tons of YouTube videos where other artists share the same struggles. But I hope one day I can be strong enough to beat this myself and never have those thoughts again. That's why I wanted to do this little drawing to remind myself. Here's me as this tube man. A bird ran into me, poked a hole, and I'm completely deflated just from that small hole. No matter how hard the octopus blow air into me, I just keep deflating. The octopus even hyperventilated and passed out. It's like my husband sometimes, no matter how much he cheers me up, I can't just shake that stuck and uncreative mode. And maybe I should hang this on my wall as a reminder to myself. Alright, this is the last piece. And I don't know if you noticed, in the past I do just one painting per video, but now I create multiple pieces. The more I make, the more I realize I can come up with the ideas and it gets easier. This process really helps me to build the confidence and creativity. As I go through these, I wanted to share those struggles and lessons with you. If you're going through something similar, I hope it helps. It feels like giving back for all the supports I've received from other artists. I also love reading personal development books and learning techniques that could apply to art. I think to be successful as an artist is not just about skills. It's also about having a strong, healthy, and happy mind. We just need to have that resilience and create space for us to observe life so that we can share with others what we see. This drawing is done with India ink and watercolor. It's a combo I haven't tried before, and I really like how it turned out. The different outlines really adds to the interest of this tiny painting. Well, this is another discovery I made through this little sketchbook. This sketchbook session has been so fulfilling, and honestly, I've gained way more than I expected. I hope this video inspires you and helps you as well. There's quite a few pages left in here, and I'm gonna save it for a future video. Let me know if you enjoy this kind of content. I really hope so, because I love making it. This kind of a longer and chattier video allow me to be authentic and not only just showing my art, but also share my struggles and solutions and every little thing I experienced on my artist journey. So thank you so much for sticking with me till the end. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.